Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful Tuesday evening. We're going to be doing a comic art spotlight this evening with collector George Hage. Before we get started, obviously Tuesdays are usually the Comic Art Live team's night, but it's their night off. But so I wanted to hit you up with what my schedule is for the next 10 or 12 days so you understand why it's going to be pretty hectic and a lot of fun. Thanks for everybody for tuning in already. Alfredo, Harry, Autumn Byrne, Sam, Chris, nice to see everybody this evening. So after tonight's show, tomorrow night will be the 13th Dueling Dealers episode, which should be a lot of fun. I don't think we're going to be as we're not going to hit a record tomorrow, because I can tell you both guys kind of toned their offerings back a little bit, but you never know. Could be a record. I'm not going to say that they can't beat $66,000, but that's my initial impression from what they've shown me already. On Thursday, I'll have my 41st CAF update with Timothy Scott Guerrero. Looking forward to that chat with him. I've got Friday night off, but then on Saturday at 11 a.m., there will be we're doing a little experiment with Gerhard. We're going to be doing an art sale through the Comic Art Live channel. It starts at 11. It'll probably go for about an hour and a half. I believe he's got about 30, 35 pieces that they've kind of taken out of the vault just for this sale. Chuck Costas will be on with me. And what they're going to do is have you email them. It's not going to be like a claim sale in the chat. Chuck just wants everybody to email it. So we'll be running a ticker with Chuck's email. And essentially we'll do about a 20, 25-minute interview with Gerhard, and then essentially do a claim sale where we'll show the art, and Gerhard will talk a little bit about each piece. And as artwork is shown, there'll be a number associated with it, and so people can email Chuck, and it'll be first come, first serve. They'll go into his email, and whoever is in there first gets first chance at the covers, the splashes, and the interiors from Cerebus from, I believe, I'm not even sure what the first issue was, but it's dating back a ways. So it's a wide swath of art that he's bringing to that show. Then, as you probably saw today from the announcement, we are going to be doing a special Dueling Dealers amateur show again with Dino, who I see has just tuned in, and Jordan. That will be on Monday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, like always. It's the Empire Strikes Back Part 2 Rumble in the Comic Art Jungle. Hopefully we won't have another Claim 15 Dino experience, but hey, maybe we will, and that'll make it even more fun than last time. The next evening, we are doing the Comic Art Live chat on Tuesday evening with collector John Monet. And then we've got a Dueling Dealers regular episode on Wednesday with Mike and Anthony. That one's going to be very toned down because because of the Saturday show. So on that show, we're really just going to be doing sketches and unpublished work. So, there's no way we're going to hit any records with that one. The goal is just to kind of keep it low key, but have a lot of art to sell. So we might be doing 2 pieces per round. Everything's going to be low priced. It's not going to be extravagant. I didn't set a cap on the price limit for the stuff, but again, we're focused on sketches and unpublished things. So there could be some cover prelims, that sort of stuff, but it's not going to be anything high priced. On Thursday night, I'm doing a special Comic Art Spotlight with Nick Barucci. So that should be a lot of fun. He, of course, started the XP channel, comics channel, selling, and we've been chatting about it for a while. So I'm going to do a special show with him for that. Then on Friday evening, I'm going to do the CAF update, which will be really short, probably only 20 minutes. And then Saturday morning, on May 1st not morning, it'll be afternoon, 1 p.m. will be that special European edition style Dueling Dealers episode with Mike and Anthony. And I can tell you, they're both bringing their top shelf artwork that has not been on their site primarily. So that episode's going to be really interesting, and I can't wait to see how that turns out. I mean, Mike has shown me some of the stuff he's bringing, and it's phenomenal, which is why we wanted to have the sketch show leading up to. We don't want to, and with the amateur show on Monday, we don't want everybody to be broke by the time we roll into the Saturday afternoon show. So long-term goal is to do 1 collector show a month on Monday nights, and if Saturday works well and we have a really good turnout, the goal will be to do the Saturday Dueling Dealer episode once a month as well, and certainly not in the same week like we're doing this one. They'll be staggered. One will be at the beginning of the month, and one will be towards the end of the month. And with the Saturday one, if that works out, my plan is to maybe do 2 duels or potentially 1 duel, and then maybe do some special art drops live with a few dealers, just to make that Saturday afternoon be a little bit more special, a little bit like a Comic Art Con online, different than Comic Art Live, which I should mention before I bring George on is the next Comic Art Live is, of course, the weekend of May 22nd and 23rd. Setup will begin on May 3rd for that. So that should be, it's our third show. Expecting same kind of, great turnouts that we've had in the past. And I can tell you that there will be a collector's amateur dueling dealer episode on May 17th, the Monday before the Comic Art Live episode, but I cannot announce those collectors at this time. So there you go. That's my weekend. Or the next 12 days, I've got 9 live streams to do. So trust me, I will not put myself in that position again. I really would like to stick to the 3 or 4 max shows a week. So it just scheduling wise, everything, it was kind of like the perfect storm to have this happen. So wow, lots of comments out there. So thank you. Hey, Khalil, Marcus, yes, claim 15 Dino. All right, everybody. So I don't want to keep George Hage waiting any longer in the green room than I already have. So let's get this thing started. Hey, George, how are you?
Doing good. You are officially the hardest working person in comic art fandom, Bill.
Yeah, you're telling me, man. It's all right. When I was making the list out, I really was kind of, my heart was skipping a beat there, but I know I can get it done. At the end of the day, these things are kind of like riding a bike in some ways. I know what to do. I've been doing them for a year, but I do feel like after I can tell everybody, even that in June, my daughter is graduating high school, in May. And I have pledged to take her on at least a 10 to 14 day. We're going to do some kind of a, father-daughter trip, probably take my youngest daughter with me too. And I'm sure that I'll probably be able to keep the Dueling Dealer episodes going, but I might skip a couple of the other shows and either have somebody else host them for me, or we might miss a few Tuesday, Thursdays during that trip because, she's earned it. She's helped a lot on the live streams that we've been doing, and I definitely could use a break after a year of doing these as well.
Well, and I got to start off. I was talking to my wife about this when I told her I was coming on here. Have so much respect for you. Been on the site since 2009.
Yeah,
I love that creating this site, hosting this site for all of us wasn't enough. Building websites for some of these dealers wasn't enough. You're now doing all these shows, so we appreciate it. So thank you for doing that.
No, it's my pleasure. Trust me. It's I've always been kind of I don't know. I like making events. I like bringing people together, and so all these things really fit with what I've always been about. And it's a true pleasure to be in this position, doing these things and getting everybody together to have a good time. Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way at all. And I appreciate you've been, so being on CAF since 2009. So you've seen it evolve a little bit, but hopefully, our goal is, I keep having this mobile friendly redesign that I keep working on and I keep shelving and I never get to finish it. Hopefully sometime this year that will happen. I mean, my fingers are crossed. I started it at the beginning of the year, but I've just been sidetracked with the live streams and a few other things. So, and
rightfully so. Yeah.
So yeah, we will see. We will see. But let's see. So sorry, just reading all the chat. So Jason. Yeah, Jason. Oh, do you have the comment window open?
Yeah, just pulled it up. Yeah.
All right, great. I always forget to tell people before we start to do that because I think it defaults to like a private chat, which I never use. So awesome. All right. Well, we start every episode off the same. We want to get your origin story in comics and collecting original comic art. I'm assuming it must have been before you found CAF in 2009.
Yeah, I mean, pretty similar to, was listening to some other folks' stories as well, but grew up a kid of the 90s collecting comics. My parents were kind enough to let me get comics at the grocery store at the time. And then on occasion, they'd take me to the comic shop. But really, when I got to high school, college, picked up the guitar and put down the comic books. And then around 2008, I had some friends that were getting back into the comics. I think shortly thereafter, the first Iron Man movie came out. So shout out for the Iron Man movie. And really got back into comics at that time. I think I started looking on eBay to try and find some of the old books. Stumbled across an original art listing on eBay. And like many of us, totally blew my mind that you could even buy the original art. I assumed it was in a vault somewhere. or not available to the public. And the first page I got was a Dark Avengers Deodata page, and it was actually the reveal of Iron Patriot. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after, some Google searches ended up finding Comic Art Fans. And then that led to many nights and continues to searching through Comic Art Fans, checking out original art, checking out listings for sale, and connecting with people. So see some familiar names. It's awesome to see everybody.
Right, because I was chatting with Khalil, and he was the one who said, "Hey, you should talk with George. He'd love to be on the show."
And Khalil is awesome, man. He must have a connector personality, because I think Khalil actually, we met at HeroesCon a few years back, and he's introduced me some other folks, and we've stayed in touch, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, Khalil's a good guy. We're all gonna be on a special collector show coming up sometime in the very near future that we're working with a few other guys, so it should be a lot of fun. But yeah, so then you found CAF right around the same time you started collecting, so that was good. I mean, you weren't there in the days before there wasn't a CAF, and the internet was a mess with the comic art dealers, and we'd already put a little bit of our spin on the hobby, so that's a good place to start. And like Tommy even says Khalil is the nicest person. Oh, and he's the comment king, and that is probably true. I'll tell you, not to sidetrack off of your story, but one feature I would love to add to CAF, because it occurred to me the other day, was I'd love to have like a list, like the people who post the most comments, who's actually taking the time to socialize on CAF. I think that would be a really neat thing to see. Just ordered by, I could do it by year, I could do it by all time. I think that would be really neat to see, because I owe it to people who comment a lot and who send private messages or like artwork, because they're really helping CAF move along. They're giving us as collectors positive influence to post more or comment ourselves, and I think that, so finding out who those people are would be pretty neat. I think
I love it. Yeah, and Khalil's awesome about it. I try to get on there as well, because to me, it's one of the best parts, to your point, of the site, is to interact with each other, to comment on the art, and hopefully motivate people to keep posting stuff if they're hesitant at all. Right. I did stumble upon the feature, though. You can see like recent comments. I don't know if that's still there, but I somehow found a link where I can see like all the comments from the past hour or something like that, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, I might have forgotten. You might be thinking of a different page than the one I'm thinking of. But if people, I know nobody uses the forum, but if you went to the forum and you look at the top forum, whatever thread, it's not a thread, it's whatever, it's that particular forum. We actually coded it to fit into the forum, but it is actually a comment thread. It shows you all the artwork that's been commented on most recently, and by whom. So it looks like it's a forum thread, but it's really looking at the CAF comments, and it's absolutely amazing. I haven't looked at it in a while because I do my searches in a different way, but it's really, it blows me away the number of comments that have been put on CAF in 18 years. I mean, I don't know. I should look at it now just to get a figure, but everybody should check that out. It's the first forum on the forums, and it's just a hybrid version of the comments. So it is very cool. But I do think I know what you're talking about too, where there is a page that just shows new. Yep. Yeah, I'll have to. So now I'm really curious what that is. But that's the problem with CAF. CAF is there's so many things that go on that we've built on it, that some of it doesn't get as much attention, or I don't draw attention to it because in some cases I've forgotten about it. But that's the trouble with working on a site for 18 years. Sorry, I'm looking through some of. Oh yeah, but and I completely agree. Somebody mentioned Eric De Los Santos. Eric is probably the #1 commenter on CAF, and yeah, there's wow, we're at literally, if I look on CAF, there is 999,652 comments that have been posted to Comic Art Fans since we started, everybody. So we only need 348 more comments on artwork to hit 1 million on the site. So please get out there and post some comments this evening, or up through this weekend, and maybe we can hit 1 million.
Khalil and I can knock that out in like an hour after this.
All right. No, I love that. Wow. See, we got to pay attention to these milestones. That's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Chris Stark says he's going to go on to comments. All right. I appreciate it, everybody. I'm going to keep an eye on that. But that's the only place you can ever get that stat because we've never done anything too special with it. So let's get back to you, George. So what's been your focus for the last 12 years that you've been collecting original art? I mean, do you focus more on published stuff? Do you do commission, convention sketches?
It is a total mixed bag. I mean, if you look at my gallery, I tend to lean towards Wolverine is probably my favorite comic book character, mainstream comic book character. But really, I'm a fan of the art and artists, so I'll end up collecting art based on the artist. So there's some stuff, and I've sold a few things over the years that weren't as close, but there was stuff that I bought strictly because I loved the artist and thought the page or the piece was good. Mm-hmm. And definitely enjoy commissions as well. I think that's part of the fun of going to conventions is being able to interact with artists and talk to artists. And there's not much cooler than having them draw something specifically for you based on a conversation you had that weekend or that day. And I know it's not for everybody, but I always love that experience. Mm-hmm.
Now, we talked earlier, you're in the Raleigh, Durham area. So you've been to Heroes Con a fair amount. And what other shows?
Since 2009.
Yeah.
Have been back to Heroes, except for last year, obviously. Yeah. But we've got some great ones up here. There's NC Comic Con in Durham. And occasionally we have a Raleigh show. Wizard World came in, and I think it was turned to GalaxyCon that I went to 2 years ago that had a couple great guests. But those tend to lean more on the like TV and film personalities, which I think is really cool, but is not my thing specifically. And then New York Comic Con is the other big one that I've gone to, but basically just the East Coast at this point.
Well, those are all the good ones to go to if you're going to hit them all. I mean, I've maybe hit MegaCon in Florida. I mean, I haven't been to that one in a while, but I always had a good time. And, being in Orlando, there's always other things to do. Oh, yeah. Just right around the show. So
I've heard Dragon Con in Atlanta's great.
Yeah. I've never been to that one, but I've always wanted to go.
Yeah. I've heard that's a really big cosplay con, but also a ton of great artists and names seem to be at that one.
I could wear my Thor costume there.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh man. So other than, so you at the shows though, so you have gotten a few commissions, and I mean, we should talk a little bit about, Jack the Radio, it's on your, your signature right there. Part of a band. So I know that you've commissioned some artists to do work for the band, right? I mean, that's gotta be pretty cool.
Yeah. And I mean, the other big thing that I've more recent years have been really into any crossover with music. I know there's a couple other collectors. Shannon Slayton's one that I see at Heroes every year that has a really cool theme of, I think, a woman listening to vinyl. Mm-hmm. He lets the artist kind of pick the vinyl records in the piece. And so I love seeing a lot of that crossover. And the more artists I meet, the more I kind of learn their love of music, or that they were in bands, or that they play instruments and things like that. So it's usually not too hard to get them to do something music related, or find that they've done something music related. But yeah, I mean, not to plug it too much, but did put out a comic book last year with A Wave Blue World, published that thing. It is a 56-page anthology based on a record that we put out last year. So we had a lot of plans last year to do some conventions, do some events with the artists at conventions, and then the band had some festival and some regional touring dates that we were planning to do to support the book. So it's all based on the album, and it's all at jacktheradio.com if you feel like checking it out. And I know a few people on here have supported it, which is awesome. Thank yous to those that have already supported it. But yeah, it was very fortunate. I mean, it was through this hobby that I was able to meet a lot of these artists and connect with these artists. And when it came time to do this book, had a nice Rolodex of people to reach out to. And there were definitely some no's, don't get me wrong, but had some great people and learned a lot and how to approach and kind of do this.
Very cool. I mean, so who did you get to work on that book?
Yeah, so, so a lot of my favorite indie artists, some that will show tonight, but Matthew Allison, who does a great book called Cankor, that I'll just put out. Aaron Conley, who just did a story in the latest Deadpool, I think 30th anniversary book. Alexis Zirit, Tommy Lee Edwards did a page. Jorge Corona, who did a beautiful book with Scotty Young last year, Middle West. Brandon Graham did an awesome 4-page story. Rich Tomaso, Vlad Legostiev, Koi. I saw somebody, I guess I look like Koi, which I'll take as a compliment. Justin Mason, another great new artist, and Chris Bruner and Rico Renzi did some coloring in the book as well. And then a bunch of great pinups from different artists. Bruno Seelig did one, which I know, Bill, it sounds like you're a fan of.
Oh yeah. No, I love all of I love all of Cam's artists. I mean, they're fantastic. So yeah.
Well, and funny enough, I reached out to Cam last year because I think he announced he was repping Matthew Allison, and I was like, oh, I'm doing this book, and I kept telling him who was in the book, and like week after week, he was announcing that he was repping like Vlad, Bruno, and a couple other artists. I'm like, they're all in this book. You got to check the book out.
So did you kickstart the book, or did you fund it all by yourself?
No, so we did a Kickstarter for the album, and then the book kind of came together towards the end, in like the last year of the project. So I basically funded it all myself, and then had some support on the publishing side from Away Blue World. So, yeah.
No, I've done a little publishing myself. I know it's not easy. So I mean,
yeah, I was glad to have a publisher involved because they were able to help with a lot of little things that I wouldn't have thought of.
Yeah, no, I work with a publisher. I just tell them what I need, and I do the editing, but I don't do any of the hard work or hard thinking about how to market a book. I just put it together. So no, that's perfect. So that came out, and then you were hit with COVID, so you weren't able to do any of the supplemental stuff to promote it at all, or what'd you do? Did you turn to doing some live streams?
We did some live stream stuff, and actually got connected through some of the artists with some comic shops that were doing live stream, like kind of interview type events, which was really cool. But, we were hoping to do some stuff this year. The band plays at the Drink and Draw event at Heroes Con every year. And several of the artists that worked on the book were going to be at the con. So we were planning to do some things there. But yeah, we've been pushing online. We're actually doing a 4-year consideration for the Ringo Awards right now. If anyone is planning to vote in that for Best Anthology, would love for anyone to consider. But
that's cool. Yeah, we're actually going to have a drink and draw as part of the ComicArt Live on
awesome
22nd. So I'm working with the Hero Initiative on that, but we're kind of working on lining up who the artists are going to be, and I think it should be fun. I mean, I've been wanting to do more with the show than just have it be the exhibitors and the regular panels. I wanted to do something on Saturday evening because there's just that big gap of, once the panels are done, the show's still open, but we don't have anything else going on. So I think we're going to try to do something between 8 and midnight and have two sets of artists. Try to do like an East Coast group for the first 2 hours and a West Coast group for the second 2 hours. It'll be fun. One way or another, just another art buying opportunity, support the Hero Initiative. And and maybe one day we could have some music going on at the same time. So
let's do it.
All right. No, well, I don't think I can get it in this year. Or maybe the November show, we should talk about it. Because, if there's a possibility to do that and do some PR for you at the same time,
that would be awesome.
I would be totally into that. I mean, I just want to make it fun.
Oh yeah.
Keep things going.
And because of that, it's one of my favorite weekends of the year because one, it's Heroes Con, but also we get to play music, we get to look at art, we get to hang out with people. It's like all of my favorite things in one weekend in one place. And I was going to say, Dino, your comment earlier, totally with you on the Molly Hatchet covers. I think Frazetta did a great like Clint Eastwood movie soundtrack cover as well. And always surprised at some of the artists that I've seen that have done, like Woodring has done some great Bill Frisell covers. I don't know. There's a ton I'm forgetting, but.
Well, we need more comic illustrators doing work in the music industry. That would be very, very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and no drinking and dueling though, Marcus. I'm sorry. That would not lend itself to a good show. Anthony would give everything away. And Mike doesn't drink, so that wouldn't work.
Oh, and to NSN Network, I'm not sure who that is. I got most of the artwork from the comic. That's what made the book way more expensive to create.
Oh, NSN. Yep, that's Michael De La Rey.
Oh, awesome.
Yep, in nsnart.com, I believe. So
awesome.
You can always.
Oh, awesome.
Yep, that's who that is. Very, very, not mainstream artist in a lot of ways, but he's introduced me to a lot of different people that I like. Some people that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't worked on his site. So nice to see you this evening, Michael. Sorry, Anthony, giving away things is a bad thing. No, it's not. But if it's not giving away some of it to me, then it is a bad thing. So honestly, in next November, I'm going to make a note of that I'll contact you maybe in because I want to start planning that one a few months in advance.
Awesome.
And if we can work something out, I know that I think we're going to be running that through kind of a Zoom kind of platform. And I know that they have a lot more seats than I can do through here. Like on this one, I can only have up to 12, but I believe they're going to have it so we can have up to maybe 24 or 30 people on screen at one time if we had that many. But so we could easily get some musicians on as well.
That sounds great.
Cool. Very cool. So okay, so we couldn't do that. You couldn't do a lot of PR for the book, but at least you did some live streams. That's cool. So that's
yeah.
Very awesome. All right, so I wanted to look at some art.
Yeah,
to be honest.
And hey, Michael, I don't know if you heard us earlier, but glad you're here.
Oh, Michael, awesome. Michael's going to be on the show shortly as well in a few weeks.
And there's a piece in the mix here that Michael helped inspire.
Oh, cool. All right, let's load up this first one here. All right. Tony Moore.
Yeah, this was a fun one, and this is one I've been getting a lot of emails in the past few months with all the Venom craze, which is awesome. But this was one I by happenstance picked up at New York Comic Con in 2013. Did not even know Tony Moore was at the convention because he was not in Artist Alley. He was not listed as an artist because he wasn't in Artist Alley. And I spent most of the weekend, probably like a lot of the folks here, hanging out in Artist Alley. And if you've ever been to New York Comic Con, it is a entirely separate wing. At least it was that year, with the smallest hallway with thousands of people trying to walk through. So once you got down there, it was kind of the place to be for a while because it was very hard to get in and out. But for whatever reason, I think I was waiting on some pieces or just needed to stretch my legs. So I walked up to the exhibitor section and Tony just happened to be there in the mix of action figures and comic book vendors. He had his own booth set up. So flipped through his stuff and he just happened to have this in his tiny binder of original art and asked him about it because I didn't know much about it at the time. And he told me a great story about this was his original design for Agent Venom for the book that he did with Rick Remender, and that he actually drew this. He was doodling this while he was on the phone with Rick, talking about the character, talking about the book. I love character designs. If you've seen my collection at all, I think it stemmed from as a kid reading Wizard magazine, trying to design my own characters. Have just always been really interested in seeing artist designs and trying to find those. So was stoked to find this one.
I love Tony's work. That's so I was going to ask you leading into it that you knew that it was for the character's design and that it was printed before you picked it up.
I didn't know if it was published. And it's kind of a weird one where it was published, but he actually digitally edited the full figure piece. So it looks a little bit more finished in the published book, but I think the raw drawing was in some online articles. But was stoked to find that one. Thanks, Khalil.
Yeah, Khalil. Good stuff. You got a few concept pieces in your gallery. So no, that's good. And Chris says as well, he likes character designs. Well, you know, I've got a few of those, you know, the Marvel character designs too. I always like that kind of stuff. And
I think the Nightcrawler, the one, didn't you share one recently that was pretty epic?
Yeah, that one. Well, it was, I guess it was, yeah, that was from their character designs. It was more of a copy from the original character design.
Okay.
But I've got a Thor that was done by Kerry Gamble.
Oh, wow.
As well. That one's kind of nice. It's all pencil though. You know, it's cool.
Yeah.
And, I forget the other couple I've got, but hopefully I'll add more. Those are always fun.
I love it. Yeah.
And as everybody can see, my bot mentioned, give the show the thumbs up every once in a while. Subscribe to the channel. Turn reminders on. And I see we got a Facebook angry from John Norton. I do not know why. Maybe John can type something in the chat and let us know why he gave us an angry. Maybe we said something he didn't like.
Already in trouble.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's look at more art. That solves everybody's problems. This is a jam piece.
So this is one, Michael, I got to give him some credit. I think at the time there was a couple collectors I was talking with. Michael was one. We referred to him as the Jam King. And he's got some pretty epic jam pieces. So I think early on saw those and thought, you know, that would be fun to try to do. Got some advice from him. Followed it mostly. I think with the one exception was Ron Garney. I think we had originally talked about doing a pencil and ink piece, and he added some of the gray tones, which I can't really complain about. And the colors really kind of brought it all together even more, but was very happy with how this turned out, and the artist that I was able to get on here.
Yeah, here, let me show the color piece too.
Yeah, and the color, I consider Justin Posner, Ponser, probably saying his last name wrong.
Ponsor's, yeah.
Ponsor. Just as much one of the artists on this as anyone else. I think the colors really brought it to the next level. And I mean, the lightning on Thor's hammer really brought it to a new level for me, at least.
Fernando says there's a vid of Michael Golden drawing this one.
Yeah.
I assume on YouTube somewhere, right?
Yeah, so this was one I was done over 4 years at 4 different conventions. I created a really rough layout that Brent Peoples laid out the base pencils at NC Comic Con 2012, I think, 2011. And then Heroes Con the next year started getting artists to add to it. So Scotty Young, Ed McGuinness did the pencils, Garney did the cap. And then at NC Comic Con 2012, Frank Cho did the Wasp. And I think I caught him at the perfect time because I had tried to get sketches from him multiple years prior, and he was never drawing at conventions. And I don't know if others have had the same experience, but he's not always easy to get a commissioner drawing from, but was very excited. I think at the time he was building something in his house, so he was taking a couple commissions at the show.
Yeah, that's Frank. That's kind of the way Frank, handles it. I mean, he doesn't sketch a lot, and I know he had that he was putting in solar panels or something to go off the grid a bit, and I know those aren't cheap.
No.
But the good thing about Frank is when he is in a mood to draw, he draws a lot, and shows and will bring a lot. But and I know that Frank's been having some auctions through Morger's website on bigwowart.com late. So it's nice to see more of his art. Like he always seems to go out in spurts. He's like, I pulled out a stack of stuff out of my my flat file and he releases it all to the world for several weeks. So no, but you were lucky. That was good. I mean, I really like that one a lot. I've never tried to get a jam piece before. So.
Yeah, I think I might be done with it because I don't know that I can top that one. And also, there's some anxiety that comes with it. I don't know if Michael shares the same sentiment, but you're basically leaving something, and then you're trying to line up the next person either later that day or the next day, and not everybody finishes when they say they're going to finish. So,
right. So I imagine sometimes it's like you try to line the second guy up and then you end up not being able to give it to him at all during the show because
And I couldn't even imagine trying to do it with, because that was 2011 through 2014. You know, it was tough to get commissions, but I feel like 2019, the last convention I went to, everybody's list was jam-packed full, that I couldn't imagine how much more difficult it is now. But.
True. I mean, I think I'd probably enter into it and just try to get just one at each show. and
Probably a better way.
if I were to do it, and then just spend the rest of the time shopping around. And John Norton said it was his fat finger that hit the unhappy face. So he set the phone. Oh no, sorry, he set the phone down. He set the phone down and set it off. Yep, I've made many a phone call when setting the phone down. So I completely understand that. But sorry, I was just reading through a couple of the posts here. But I agree with Johnny here that there's a lot of uniformity in your jam. So that's definitely probably something that you don't always see. I mean, I've seen people do jams or even just pieces that just where you don't see a lot of uniformity between the characters on the page. So yeah, that was as good as you're going to get.
I appreciate that. And again, credit to Michael. That was one of the pieces of advice he gave. He's like, pick a medium, either get everybody to do pencils, and hopefully I'm not giving away too many secrets, but get everybody to do pencils and then get one inker to ink it all, or get everybody to do the same medium, keep it kind of uniform.
So how did you connect with Michael? Was that through
comicartfans?
Oh, through okay, cool.
Yeah, and I think there was a small group at that time that I think we had some similar artists that we were collecting and connected that way. And yeah, that's the beauty of the site.
Well, it's amazing that it took 18. Yeah, I never really heard it. I didn't know these things were going on.
You weren't reading our emails?
I mean, like it's the honest truth. Well, I always get a few pats on the back and stuff, but I never really knew the socializing that was going on or that CAF was helping facilitate.
Yeah.
Until really we started doing these live streams, and I was talking more face to face with the collectors and getting an understanding for how they were using the site. I mean, I feel terrible. I could tell you that what Maureen is working on right now is an upgrade to the CAF email system, so that because we built it, we didn't think it'd be used for more than 30 days, or we didn't put too much thought into how it would be used. 10 years later, with people having several thousand emails in there that you can't search on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we're working on just making the message trees be a little bit smarter and putting a keyword search in there so you can easily go back and find. You'll be able to search by the piece that people commented on, or just the commenters' names, just simple stuff that you think would have been built in there to begin with, but we didn't think about. So maybe that will facilitate more friendships and more camaraderie on the site if we can actually make that work a little better.
Oh yeah.
And Michael says he had a mutual friend, Al, that linked you guys up.
Big Al.
All right, let's look at some more art here. This is one that we just looked at.
Yeah, so this is the original for the anthology cover. This actually started as a commission with Matt in 2015. So he's been self-publishing his books for years, and just I feel like with every page that he does, he's getting better and better, which is crazy because he was awesome 5 years ago and longer before I knew him. But yeah, I was able to get this commission. At the time, we had planned to use it for like a concert poster or something, but the band ended up taking a hiatus for a few years. So this ended up kind of just sitting in a portfolio. And then when it came time to do this book, it seemed like a great fit for the cover.
Yeah, no, I love the image.
And yeah, the small image on the right is, I'm assuming through the publisher because I can take no credit. We ended up getting the front page of Previews World last year, which was awesome. Especially, it was a crazy time because the book went to previews at the end of March for the April edition. So it was actually one of the months it was up for pre-order was the month that all distribution shut down. So it was it's been a crazy year learning about how some of this stuff works.
Yeah, no, I don't. publishing has really been a difficult process for me to kind of get my arms around too. So I admire anybody that can see a project from beginning to end and really not pull their hair out. You know, especially this last year too. I mean, I don't know. You must have had your books in hand before COVID hit.
No,
you didn't.
We had to push things out a little bit, and luckily previews pushed things out a little bit with them shutting down for 4 weeks. But yeah, we did lots of nervousness. Like, are we going to get the books? And, you know, at the time, I think people thought COVID would only last maybe a couple months at the most. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's not true. But yeah, we got everything. So we've just been doing it through online events. We did an animated video pulling art from the comic that's been in some film fest this year. So we're kind of hitting everywhere we can to get the word out. And then had an awesome artist working on it that have posted about it as well.
Cool. Yeah, when I put together the description and updated it this evening, I did link over to your YouTube page where that video plays as the default when people go to it. So I would certainly encourage anybody who's watching the show tonight on YouTube to get over there and watch that video and subscribe to George's channel, because
I appreciate it.
Got to spread the love. I'll tell you, I never thought it is so hard to get subscribers. I mean, you go there and you think all these gamers have 1 million subscribers, and you know, you wonder how in the heck they can do that, because you know, I've been doing this for over a year now, and we just have, I mean, I'm not even at 1,400 yet. It's very difficult. So
you make it a prereq to join CAF.
That's an idea that might help. But you know,
we're going to get another frowny face from John on Facebook. Sorry.
No. But yeah, that's pretty, it's cool though. I mean, I've really enjoyed YouTube just because I've learned a lot about, you know, different forms of marketing that I scoffed at before COVID. And, but my COVID story with the shipping was just that our book always is usually in hand by like October. Yeah. And it was on the boat, you know, because it was printed in China, and it was on the boat in September, which then the boat sat outside the port in LA, because that was when LA had that resurgence of COVID, you know, around, or all of California did in around October, November. So by the time they got the stuff off the boat, then in the ports they were prioritizing all the PPP stuff or whatever, you know, all the masks and things were getting through, and our stuff sat in customs for 3 months.
Wow.
We didn't get it until, I believe, like mid-January or like February 1st is when we first started sending out all the pre-orders and things. So it was an absolute nightmare. And anything I can do to avoid that, because that was horrible. Because we usually have, like I say, we usually have them 3 months ahead of that, and it's an annual, and we like to have it like right in the middle of like our submission period, when it's a lot like, you can think of it as like a Spectrum book where artists submit work. So we like to have it in the middle of the submission period, and to have it after the submission period was over, which is terrible from a marketing standpoint. You know, you like a book in their hands while they're still thinking about submitting. And hopefully I'll be done months in advance this year with the production work on it. That's my goal.
Oh yeah. Very important.
Yeah, I agree. And well, so back to that, Chris says that everybody takes 2 or 3 years to build subscribers. Yep. That is what I have learned. So how long have you had your YouTube channel? Just out of curiosity.
Well, so I think we got on 2009 seems to be the year I started doing everything online. Although I was online before. We got on around 2000, actually maybe 2012, but the band took a hiatus for several years. I was playing with another group that was doing some stuff in Nashville and things like that. And we just came back to it kind of the end of 2019 and last year. So we haven't done a big push, but it's been a few years. I think we're at like 300 and something followers on, or subscribers on YouTube. So we don't push it as hard. But for what we do, Facebook and Instagram seems to get better traction.
Well, I mean, Yeah, I haven't. Well, I use Facebook a lot, but I've
Yeah.
still not turned on to Instagram yet. Hope one day, I just can't do them all. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If I had some,
Man, it's a full-time job.
I mean, I like the fact that I can auto post over to Instagram, but since you're not really engaging people over there, it's really hard to get any movement or anybody really following what you're posting when you're not really doing anything.
Yep.
So, living and learning. Timothy Wendell, thank you for the super chat, $5. I appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate all the kind words that you've given me in the past, and for all those purchases at the last Dueling Dealers episode. I'm envious of all the artwork that you picked up last week. So let's see here. Let's look at some more art. I know we've got a few more things here. I like this one a lot.
Yeah, and this is kind of a off the wall one. This was for this is Aaron Conley on the pencils and inks. Aaron's one of my favorite artists working today. I love realistic, but I tend to love comic feeling, like fun, kind of electric might be a good way to describe Aaron's work, but like anything that's got kind of motion and energy to it, I love. And then this one, it's got the music ties, the records, some classics in there. But this was for a Vinyl-thon zine that happened 2018, 2019, which was basically just a national vinyl day with like college radio stations across the country. So this was the cover for that. And they did a print as well. And just thought it was a fun piece. And I love Aaron's art.
Yeah, that's really cool. I just noticed the third eye.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it in the black and white. Now, I mean, I don't know how I couldn't. It's clearly obvious, but no, that's awesome.
I think that's one thing I love about Aaron's stuff is he puts a lot into the piece. So like every time I look at it, there's a different record that I notice or something on I think he called it a Jack Kirby record player. Mm-hmm. Something different on that record player that I didn't notice before, but.
Right, and even Tim pointed out, and you see that right away, the Kiss album in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Very.
And he and Matt Allison actually just started, I think, a informal Kiss podcast where they are going to walk through every Kiss album.
Oh my God. I can say that I did see Kiss, but in their first return after they had retired. So I don't remember what year that would have been, but I was probably around 19 or 20, so I guess it'd be around 87 or so. Okay. So I can say I saw them, but not in their early heyday though.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun show. All right, let's see. Oh, and here is the Tommy Lee Edwards piece.
Yeah, this was a big one for me. Huge fan of Tommy's. I feel like Tommy does so much amazing work. I don't know if I didn't know this, but Tommy's done a ton of stuff with film. He's done concept art for I think one of the Batman movies, some Indiana Jones movies. He co-created the Book of Eli movie, and then he does amazing comic works, sequential work, and painted covers. But this was my first painted piece. And I think Tommy had this in a portfolio like 2 cons in a row. And he's also local to North Carolina, so I've gotten to know Tommy over the years, but kept asking about this piece and was lucky enough to pick it up. And this also was the cover right after the Old Man Logan run, which was a book that got me really back into comics.
Yeah, I love Tommy's work. And no, he's done a lot of work in film, or at least early on. I mean, I know that I've seen Harry Potter pieces that he's done. I think some Star Wars.
Yep.
So yeah, he's I mean, I love his style. And I think you're right. I think the only time I've seen him in a show though was at Heroes, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if I've gotten to see him. I have one of his books. He's actually somebody, strangely enough, when we first started CAF, I did a few collector interviews or artist interviews because I was like, what do I do with a site about comic art? And so Tommy was probably one of the first people that I ever did an interview with. And wow. I should dig those up because they're on the site, but they're so buried that nobody could ever find them.
Oh,
but
wow.
I would have done that. I mean, it would have been like 2003. So
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to have to make a note of that because I interviewed a lot of people. I had an early interview with Adam Hughes from back then, and
Oh wow.
I don't know who else I interviewed. But yeah, I just remembered that. As soon as when I was looking at the art, I'm like, wow, I remember talking to Tommy about that. All right, I'm going to find those.
Awesome. And I see Ben join. What's up, Ben?
Oh, Ben. Yep, there you go. Repping and seeing. That's right. Lots of artists in that area. That is very true.
I was just talking to somebody. I just posted a piece that Andrew, is it Pep Boy?
Pep Boy. That's what I've always said, but yeah.
Did the inks on it, and he was telling me he used to live in the area in the 90s and had another friend that lives a little bit outside of town, like 45 minutes outside of town, in a place called Hillsborough, North Carolina, where Mike Wieringo used to have a studio. And it's kind of small town, almost feels like a mountain town, but it's like 30, 40 minutes from like Chapel Hill in Raleigh. But apparently there was a studio, I think Rich Case was in there, and Ben might even know more than I do, a couple other artists. So I love finding out how much talent we have in North Carolina, present and past.
Right. No, I love Rich Case's work too. One of my favorites. I've gotten a few convention sketches from him. So in the past.
It's a great idea. Run those archive shows.
Yes, exactly. All right, here we go. Another very cool piece, Ryan Stegman.
Yeah, this was a piece that Ryan did in 2012. So early for at least me in his career. I'm sure not to him, but he was a guest at Heroes Con. He created this piece that was actually for a postcard that the convention sent out like all over the state and region to get people hyped for the con. It was the 30th year anniversary. I want to say at the time, Ryan just started his work on Scarlet Spider, and maybe had done some Spider-Man work. But this one, they posted it in advance. He posted in advance online. Rico Renzi did the colors for this. And I think at the time, Rico was working for the convention or doing some work for the convention. And I asked Ryan about it. It was supposed to be auctioned off at the con, but Ryan ended up not being able to come. I think illness, maybe. I don't know exactly what it was. So I ended up reaching out afterwards to his rep at the time, Paolo from Cadence, and Ryan to see if the piece was available, and was lucky enough to grab it after the con. And it's awesome on a full-size Marvel board, and great foreshadowing to the awesome Spider-Man work that he's done, and now Venom work that he's been doing.
No, that's a beauty. And you probably lucked out that he wasn't there, because if he was there, he probably would have sold the original at the show. And
oh yeah, and it probably would have gone for more than I paid for it. So I was very happy to get it.
No, that's yeah, and that's really early in his career too. So that's a good buy for sure. I mean, his stuff today, obviously, he's hotter than anything. Only maybe Trad Moore would be hotter than him right now.
And Trad is one. He's another artist that I've tried to get stuff from in the past, and even in like 2013, 2014, when I talked to him, he didn't have a ton of stuff and wasn't really doing commissions. Mm-hmm. That I've tried to get some drawings from. I actually asked him about the Ghost Rider designs that he did for the run, and he had them but wasn't selling any of the stuff at the time. Yeah, and Daniel Warren Johnson's another guy. He used to do commissions for like $50 at Heroes Con years ago. That, yeah, there's so many artists that I'm like, should have got some stuff from them,
right?
Or more stuff from them. But
well, that's I always hear people talk about it, in present day, where they're saying, I'm looking for, the next Trad Moore. I'm looking for the next Daniel Warren Johnson. I mean, it's tough to have an eye for that. For talent early, but some people have a knack, they really do. And as a collector, I don't, unfortunately. I'm like you, I tend to learn a little bit too late. But I mean, for you to pick up that Stegman piece, I mean, that's I mean, that just says that you've got an eye for good work.
Oh, I'll take it. I try, and I think I posted. I've gotten some design stuff from Stegman as well. It's so funny though. I've asked him years ago. He had a Scarlet Spider one that was on like a sheet of printer paper, and he couldn't find it. Like it was lost. But it was something I would cherish. So I always laugh when, like sad laughter, I guess, when artists they don't think anybody would want it or care about it, so they don't think to keep it necessarily.
Right. I mean, I remember, Paul Pope, I always felt that looked at his artwork that way early on. And I always, I remember seeing his work, in I don't even know when it would have been, 2008, 2009 for the first time. And I thought he was, a genius. And there was just none of his artwork was ever on the market. I mean, now that Felix, is repping him, it's cool to see that work out there. But yeah, sometimes it takes a little while for people to get turned on and, or tune in really to the talent that some creators have. But and Felix has a knack for bringing them all underneath his umbrella, as it seems.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Okay, here's another one. Coipel.
Yeah, Coipel's someone early on that I was in awe of, just his skill and work, and there was work that was available, but I just couldn't find the piece for me. And then this one checked a lot of boxes with the Wolverine on a motorcycle, the claws out. And I don't know, I think this was listed on Quan's site as like a specialty piece. I don't know if it was like an unused or rejected cover or just something he did for fun. But he ended up using it for his convention banner, which I always think is pretty cool. I'm like, if an artist wants it for their convention banner, they've got to love the piece at least enough to sit next to it for an entire weekend.
Heck yeah. I was going to ask, did you pick this up through Quan?
Yeah. So I got this through Quan. I want to say I got it. I don't know if it was a banner at the time. I think it might've been right before that Comic-Con. And I unfortunately wasn't at that one. So I found this picture online. And if the owner of this photo would like me to not use it, I'm sorry. But I found it on Facebook, and it's the only picture I've seen from the convention with the banner in it.
It's a beauty. Yeah, I wish Quan needs to do more art drops. That's for sure. He takes his time. He's always been a very patient, slow moving man as far as like doing stuff. He and I, the funny thing is, I think since COVID, I haven't actually talked to Quan, which is weird. He usually calls me every few months and we shoot the breeze. But yeah, he's Mr. Laid Back. He's in no rush to get artwork on the site. So for those who are interested in people that Quan reps, it's usually better to contact Quan directly, because he's probably got the art. He just hasn't gotten around to scanning it and getting it on the website. So if Quan ever sees this, I apologize, Quan. The secret's out now. But yeah, I love Quan. He's a character as far as dealers go.
Oh yeah. And I don't know him super well, but I've met him at a few times at conventions, and he's always fun to hang around.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Quan gives a lot of inspirational memes. Yeah.
Hey, we need those right now.
We do more than anything. Absolutely. Let's see here. Okay, here's another one. It's Mike Del Mundo.
Man, and Mike is continues to be one of my favorite artists working today. This is another person that I wish I had gotten more art from early on. I've been trying for the past 10 years to get more work from Mike, and I think he's in no rush to sell anything. But was very happy to get this. And there's one other piece that I picked up from him in 2011. He's just, to me, he's got such a cool sense of color theory. He's got one of the best senses of design and how he lays out a piece, or maybe story that he adds to a piece, or humor that he adds to a piece. And absolutely loved how he did this Daredevil in the yellow costume.
Here's a question from Chris. Where did you get a traditional piece from Mike?
Yeah, so Mike used to have a website back in 2010, 2011. It was like deadlymike.com or deadlydelmundo.com. That was kind of a portfolio gallery. And then he had a web store that he sold a couple originals on. But I just emailed him, and he did this piece, and he did a Wolverine piece for me. And I've seen a couple others on CAF, maybe 10 originals that he's done. And then the New York Comic Con I went to, he did 2 pieces at. But I haven't seen much other original from him. And I know he does a lot of work, so I don't know if he's busy. And I know he's had some kids in the past few years, so I'm sure he's busy, and I don't know. But he's still one of my favorites. And he's done some great music-related stuff. He's a huge hip-hop guy. He actually, I think, he did an album artwork for Alfredo. I can't remember the name, that won a Grammy or was Grammy nominated this year. So his album art was like everywhere around the Grammys. And he's done some awesome comic art stuff for the hip hop group Czarface, which I always love seeing.
So you just hit him up at the right time. That's what it turns out.
Yeah, I got lucky. I guess in 2011, maybe it was right before he had his first kid. I honestly don't know, but he was taking on commissions and did 2 within like 12 months. And I think he did a few other pieces. I remember actually seeing he posted some. He did a Batman full color, I think a Doctor Strange, and maybe something else, which I keep waiting to see on CAF. But there's a couple great ones on there as well.
And I have to point out that we've had 40 comments posted on CAF in the last 30 minutes. So you guys are getting there. Slowly but surely, we're making the rounds. But yeah, we're at 999,717. So we still got a ways to go. It's not going to happen during the show.
All right.
This weekend, it would make my week.
Yep.
All right. This is kind of, I guess, a jam in its own way, right? Got a few. Yeah. This one.
So it was super tough to pick the pieces for tonight. So I tried to pick some that were either fun or had some story behind it. And this was one I found Romita Jr.'s pencils to a piece. Sadly, the pencil was on super thin paper. There was a little bit of like water damage, crinkle to it. But I still just loved it and thought it was cool early Romita Jr. stuff. So printed it out, scanned it in, printed out blue lines, and kind of waited for the right inker to come along. And Scott Hanna was at Heroes Con in 2012. So approached Scott about doing the inks, knowing that he's done a ton of stuff with Romita Jr.
Right.
And he loved it. He thought the pose, I think, is the first thing I see some comments in there.
The sensual thing pose.
Yeah, it's very was it Burt Reynolds couch type thing?
yeah, Playgirl or something, right?
Yeah. But Scott had a good laugh. He loved the idea. And actually, when I picked it up from him, he told me a great story about, I think around this time that this was drawn in '83, he was doing some early test inks for Marvel, and I think doing some test inks on some of Romita Jr. stuff. So I thought that was a fun anecdote when I picked it up. And then the awesome Laura Martin did the colors the next year at Heroes Con. And I should mention the year that Hannah did the inks on this, he won 2 Inkwell Awards at the convention. So I felt pretty good about my decision. Not that I needed any extra boost on that.
Well, Scott's he's one of the, isn't he ranked like number 1 or number 2 in the most inked pages that
he's
are out
got to
there?
be up there. Yeah.
I mean, he's had a really, really long career. I forget that there's a website out there that actually quantifies all that, and I never think to bookmark it because it looks more 1990s than Spencer Beck's website. It's but it's filled with like really useful information that you just wouldn't get anywhere else. That like comics.org doesn't allow you to filter counts like that. But but their site does. I'm sure somebody will post a link in the chat so I can remember and finally write it down. So, all right, next piece of art here. Here we go.
Right. This is a special one. This was the rare comic book cameo. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Scotty Young over the years, and also sharing a love of music. His wife is an awesome musician, and had an opportunity. Basically, Scotty was looking for a theme song for the book Middle West to use in the trailer to promote the book before it came out, before it hit the shelves. So we ended up working out a trade, which included this cameo and the original art for the song, basically. So Jorge Corona is the artist on the book. Scotty was the writer. In the original page, it actually refers to Nick Baglio as the drummer there with me, and I playing some music here at the traveling fair. And I don't know if it's been posted, but that's Scotty and his wife Casey behind us there on the right. And I'm not sure if the other people are real people or fictional people, but this was a cool one. And the project was called Doom Punks, is the band. We put everything on Spotify, and we did a bunch of theme songs for indie books, if that's your thing.
No, that's super cool. I mean, I didn't know that was you when you sent me the art. I didn't go to your gallery to read anything about it. So no,
well, that made me look a little cooler than I think I actually do. So.
Oh no, it looked just like you. But that did look like Scotty though. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I had no idea, where it would be, how cool it. Like I didn't know he would put our name in it or anything. So was pretty stoked when I saw it.
Yeah, that's very awesome. So Khalil's saying you look like Tony Stark. you just look like you look like everybody tonight. Yeah, that does help.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. By the way, I've had a couple kids at comic conventions stop me and call me Iron Man, and I love it every time. So I don't mind at all.
Oh heck yeah! Well, that's why I wear the Thor thing. I got the hair. I'm not blonde enough though, but I'm not wearing a wig or dyeing hair with. But yeah, I see everybody's, a few people saying I should fix Spencer's site. I've offered to fix Spencer's site many times. I just give up. I haven't asked him in probably 10 years. Because every time I asked him, he'd always say, I'm working on it. It's almost done. It's almost done. So yeah, it's never going to be done. And we'll probably never get it.
Did you build the original site?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, that's I would have built that in like 1995 when I started my first, when I made my first Duke Nukem, gaming website because I liked playing that game. I think I did a better job then than whoever did Spencer's. And Spencer's got a lot of great art. It's just his site, so there's no search.
Oh yeah,
so clunky. One day, he'll get with it, I'm sure, but it won't be me.
Yeah. And my bar was set low, maybe, because some of the first art I bought was from Spencer's site when he was selling some of the Nevin. So anything nicer than that or more efficient or easier to use than that, I'm like, oh. Yeah.
Sorry, there's a lot of funny comments out there, but yeah, no, I mean, I picked up some Frank Whiteley, new art early on, inked by Scott Hanna for cheap. I mean, that was back. I mean, I think I got one of the pages was $45, an end page to issue 115.
Oh my God!
Because he was like, it's new X-Men, Scott Hanna inks. I don't know this Frank Whiteley guy.
You're breaking my heart with the new X-Men stuff. You were talking about it last week too, that you sold some of the original covers.
Cover to 114, the first Grant Morrison cover. That one breaks my heart every time I think about it. I mean, I got I bought that from that one I bought from Mitch.
Okay.
And because he was sort of repping Quietly at that time. I think I got that for $3,000 and sold it for probably $8,000, but I can't even imagine what that cover would go for today. I mean, that was cool as heck.
Oh yeah.
Makes me cry. Oh well.
I'm sad thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody can be sad for me too.
Well, hopefully someone's out there enjoying it.
Oh yeah, yeah. The thing is, it used to be on the wall right behind me, so I have tons of photographs of it where I'm just where I'm in the office doing something, and so I get to look at it every now and again.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so let's see here. We got some more artwork to look at. A happy Chris Claremont.
So this was one of the greatest days of my comic life. Was New York Comic Con. Was able to get an exhibitor pass to get in early for that one. So my first stop was beelining it to Claremont's table in the Artist Alley. To my dismay, when I got there was one person there with the rolling stack of short boxes that he was bringing to Claremont, like walking up as I was walking out. It's like pulling up to a red light as it's turning red. Like worst case scenario. But I'm like, he's here, I'm here. It's the first day. The guy pulled out maybe 50 comics for Claremont to sign. And I think at the time he was charging $5 a signature. And I'm like, there's no way this guy's going to get them all signed, but he did. But luckily, to my surprise, while we were standing there with each book that Chris is signing, he's telling a story. There was some Miss Marvel stuff. He's like, this is when we changed the costume. And do you know why we changed the costume? And would go into these stories. And I'm like, this is the greatest ever that I'm getting to hear these stories from Chris Claremont himself. And as you can see by the photo, I had a few books of my own for him to sign and a couple pages for him to sign. And I think actually that same weekend was when the Wolverine Japan story movie came out. So talked to him a little bit about that, which he was quick to say, that's not my Wolverine. But yeah, it was great talking to him. And this is one of my favorite pages that I own. I don't own a ton of like 80s stuff or older stuff, but this was one I was lucky to get off, I think Koch Comics website years ago. And the first two panels always, to me, were reminiscent of the Frank Miller stuff with the use of light and dark and breaking through glass, and just love the action. And I don't know, so much I love about this one, and with the story to go with it. And actually had a question for folks in the chat. So I got Chris, you can see the signature on the bottom left. Was wondering how people feel about getting writers to sign original art, if that's something anyone else does or would try to turn me away from doing. And maybe that's an exception. I don't know. Right.
No. I mean, I could tell you that I ran into Grant Morrison in 2004 at San Diego Comic-Con, and I had him. I didn't have the cover with me, but I had 3 or 4 interiors at that time, and I had him sign them. So
awesome.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think, and it's funny. I can tell you that in the early days of CAF, we didn't have writer as an option when you were adding art, and it was, that was just dumb, an oversight. I mean, the writer plays, a really important part in most comic storytelling, and so somebody finally pointed that out to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Why didn't I ever have that in there? So I mean, I don't. How many things does Stan Lee sign, and he didn't even write them, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Think about that, and so no. I mean, I think that's. I haven't looked at the comments yet, but everybody says, why not? More SIGs, the better. There you go. As long as it doesn't cover the art. Yes, we've.
Absolutely.
Stan, there was that one. The one heritage recap we did where it seemed like everything Stan signed, it was in the middle of a leg, or it was it was in some important part of the art, not in the gutters, which is where you would want everybody to sign their artwork. So as everybody says the same thing, Alfredo. So as long as they sign in the border.
Yeah. And Tommy, I love his Wolverine stuff as well on CAF. Mm-hmm. Definitely share some interest there. Right.
And Dino mentions as well, it's not only the writer, but the inker as well. I mean, especially if they're well known. I think, I don't know. I think it's cool just being able to, to take the art in front of the original creator at a later date and let them see it again. Because usually, you know, I don't know. I maybe sometimes they don't like seeing their old work, but I would have to think in most cases, you know, it's got to bring some kind of a smile to their face. Tommy mentions about adding year to the descriptions. You know, there's that's something I've been thinking about. I mean, originally when we put the comics.org data out there, and we kind of expected people to always assign their artwork to the comics.org data, I felt like there would be a way at that point then, because then I know when it was published, and that I would create some special filters by date. But I do feel that the thing that would stink about it is, okay, there's 1 million pieces of art on CAF today. How many people are really going to go back and edit 1 million pieces of art, published art, to set the date? I mean, I'm kind of more thinking I'd like, if I did it, maybe I'd do it in date ranges, you know, like 80 to 89, 90 to 99, you know, something like that. Because when we look at eras of certain, you know, artworks, I think that might be a cool way to search it. But still, you'd have to go back and get 1 million artworks updated. So if I were to do that, I'd have to come up with a way for you to mass update probably like 50 things at a time, right? That so you didn't have to go into one piece at a time. So I don't know. It's been on my thought list, but it's a tough problem to go back and kind of retrofit. So sorry, I'm just looking through. And Colin mentions that he has an X-Men page signed by Claremont.
Awesome.
He was excited to see it. All right, cool. Colin, I didn't know you. You know, Colin, if everyone didn't know, Colin does all the writing on CAF. Well, not all the writing. He does a lot of the writing on CAF for me today. He helps out with the market reports. He posts my news. But I thought, Colin, I thought you were always more focused on commissions and sketches. I guess I haven't looked in your gallery in a while, so I'm gonna have to check it out. Yeah, lots of comments. So start with the new art and see what happens, Tim. I agree. Maybe just go that route, and then as people get turned on to doing it, because I think it'd be really cool to, you know, just think about going to the CAF search and just saying, I want to see 90s artwork that's published with this keyword, boom, and then that's what you get. So I think that would be a really useful search, you know, feature if I could access it that way. So yeah, I will definitely consider it as something to put on our roadmap of things to program.
I love it.
All right, so let's see. This is a good one. It's another Wolverine. Sean, yeah.
This was another rare opportunity. 2013, yeah. Sean was taking a few, I think at the time his rep was calling them high quality commissions. And at the time I thought it was a lot of money. But in hindsight, it was not a lot of money for what he's charging now. I think he just had a commission sell on eBay for like 13 grand.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Which is pretty amazing. But this was, I think he did maybe 5 pieces, 11 by 17 like this. There was a Punisher, I think a Batman animated series, a Batman, awesome piece with a bike, Back to the Future. And I think he did like a triptych Avengers piece that was pretty amazing and was on comicartfans, maybe still is. But I had to go, if you've picked up yet, Wolverine on a motorcycle. I love the Japan story. Sean ran with it. And as a little Easter egg, he actually put my last name on the bike. Is for me a story point. I like to think if I had a motorcycle that cool, and it's almost like a World War II piece, like he stole an old bike while over there. That he would have stolen my bike or stolen one of my ancestors' bikes. And I actually didn't notice it for the longest time. He has run over a ninja that is right behind that front wheel. So this was another one, like the more I look at it, the more little things that I saw in it. And just some really cool inking techniques. Got some of the fingerprints and splatter in there, and it just puts a lot of story into, you know, a single panel piece like this.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you're right. I mean, I haven't looked at the color piece. I formatted it, but I didn't notice the character being run over either. Here, let me, there we go. See, now I can see it. Oh yeah, that's can't miss it now.
And this is in the DeviantArt days. I don't know how many people are on that site, but Mike Spicer actually did this color years ago, and he's gone on to color, I think, some of the Rumble books with James Herron and some other guys.
Wow. Yeah, I never spent much time on Deviant. It was always so hard to kind of figure out and get around on it. Not that I made CAF any easier to figure out and get around on it, but Deviant was always tough. Yeah, everybody loves this piece. This is a great one, George.
I appreciate it.
Wow. And when did you get the color piece done? How long after?
So Sean, that was the cool thing about DeviantArt, is a lot of like pencilers or inkers would post a downloadable high-res file, and other artists would download it. Other colorists or artists would actually just download it. So I didn't even commission the colors. There were a couple different people on DeviantArt that just added their colors for practice, and I think it's a great way probably to connect with the penciler or inker if you color their work and can show them your awesome colors.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, so maybe I should have looked at Deviant a little bit more. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I mean, there's still people using it, but there's not many people posting on DeviantArt anymore. It's kind of like an archive of cool stuff when I go check it out.
Mm-hmm. Ruben mentions that Spicer is currently killing it on the Swamp Thing. I believe Ruben's been selling artwork to that book, or maybe I'm mistaken. I try to read every press announcement that goes out there.
Wow, I didn't realize he was doing Swamp Thing or Beta Ray Bill.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Both awesome books.
Sorry, yeah. I love reading the comments. I wish I could read and talk at the same time. Unfortunately, my brain doesn't work like that.
I like Carlos's. It's the MySpace of art.
Yep, MySpace of art. Yes, but is it MySpace? MySpace did go the way of the dodo, but Deviant had a really. I mean, I know as a website, they really, they had a good business there for a very long time. I mean, I know, because somehow I was in touch with them early on for some reason, because we both started around, I think they might have started a year before I did, but they had like 20, 30 people on staff. So there were a lot of programmers involved with that project. And so they had money, they had ad revenue somehow, and they had memberships and that sort of thing. And they had enough traction that they could make a real business out of it. And yeah, I mean, I just think that's cool because, I didn't approach CAF like that at the beginning. I was just doing it for fun, and I wasn't really thinking of it as a business, but I always think that stuff is really cool, where people approach something and they say it's going to be something cool, and they make it something that actually works.
Yeah. And I'm curious if artists are still utilizing it. I mean, I do design work as well. So I was on there years ago, and it was a great place to network and kind of show off, have a gallery for your own art,
right,
and connect with other artists that way. But
yeah, Rich mentions where is it, right here, that ArtStation has kind of taken over that end of things, and that's true. All that I work with on the Infected by Art book all have ArtStation accounts, and
Behance is another one.
Yeah,
there's a ton of them. And almost Instagram to an extent.
Yeah, I know Instagram is so popular. I just can't stand it. I can't stand the size of the image. The fact that it has to be more square than tall, and you can't put a link in it in your descriptions. And to me, it seems so anti-marketing.
Yeah,
that I just can't wrap my head around it. Because like whenever we want to post to Instagram, we always have to crop artwork, and I just think that that's just not cool, right? I mean, it's you're never getting to see the whole image, and so I don't know. I mean, but again, if I was just using it for my phone and taking pictures and sharing them, I would probably be all into it. But as far as an image, but everybody uses it. It just boggles.
Everybody's there. That's the problem.
There you go. And we're gonna and Rich, I should mention to Rich Danes, I have not emailed you back, but I definitely will tomorrow. I'll have more time. I've been very behind in my emails, so I apologize for that. All right, so let's see. Let me get another artwork up here. Oh yeah, let's cover. Yeah, this is really cool.
Yeah, and this is one where in the top left, that is actually the writer's signature. That is Daniel Way's signature. But I did not know when I asked him to sign it that his signature is just the circle motion over and over. So it looks a little bit like a scribble. But yeah, had to post, give some love to Julian Totino Tedesco. Another guy, I don't know. I don't remember where I first saw his stuff, but he was someone he had his email online at the time and reached out to him about a few pieces, and was able to pick up some of his stuff when he started I think he was doing the season 1 covers, and then leading into his run on Thunderbolts. But just this team, I love kind of the anti-heroes, and a team of anti-heroes just seem really badass to me. Mm-hmm. And just love how he did this cover. He lays a lot of his stuff out with pencil and then will digitally paint over it. And then on occasion, he'll use like gouache and some mixed media, but mostly pencil work. But this was a cool one. It was used for the cover, the second print, the trade, and then they had like an 8-foot tall, huge backdrop that's on the right there. I think at New York Comic Con years back.
Yeah, that's definitely the Javits Center. Yeah, it says it's a great cover as well. I love it. I love it. Sorry, let's see here. I missed my button, but no, that's awesome. And how'd you pick that one up? You picked it up direct from the artist?
Yeah, direct from him at the time. And I think he's working. He's got a rep now that I've picked up some stuff from since, but early on picked up a few pieces and covers. And he's one, I think he's still doing it. I mean, he would usually include like a print with the order or like a head sketch or something, which I thought was really cool, above and beyond. Not many people do. And another one, him and Mike Del Mundo are, to me, two of the best cover artists working out there right now, for my taste at least.
Right. No. I mean, that's an awesome cover. But and yeah, I think anybody that would put a sketch on, something like you say, a head sketch on a print or whatever. I mean, that just shows their gratitude, right?
Yeah.
You always hear that a lot from creators, like we were talking about earlier, how people, even the artists themselves don't think anybody really wants their artwork, and then it turns out, But I always love stories like that, because that's what I think of. I think they're really grateful that you wanted to buy something, and so they're willing. They want to do a little more, a little.
Oh, yeah.
And no, that's really neat.
Oh yeah, yeah, and excited to see what else Julian does in years to come. I wouldn't call him a new artist, but I feel like he's one of the newer, maybe working in mainstream.
Mm-hmm. And who's repping them now?
Something with a CH.
CH.
Like, who is? I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't think of who would that be? A CH name. I think somebody in the comments would hit us up with that.
I realized that there's a lot of names that I'd never say out loud.
Yes.
That I probably should start practicing. Man,
Chiaroscuro. There we go. Chiaroscuro. See, I should have known that.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Colin, Ben, Khalil. Everybody got it. All right.
I am glad I did not try to say that, because it would have.
Yeah. Stupid now. I mean, they haven't advertised with me in a while, but supposedly once I know they're updating their website right now, and I've emailed with them a bit, and they said as soon as their website's updated, they're going to be advertising with us again. So then they'll be at the front of my thoughts. So,
and they had a big couple weeks, right, with the Grandpa.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was incredible. I mean, Grandpa, yeah, I mean, I deserves every penny, every accolade, because the work is just phenomenal and so detailed, so beautiful, and that was absolutely amazing.
And he's one I'm kicking myself after the Mesmo Delivery book. I can't even remember what year that was, but maybe 2010.
Yeah,
I reached out to him. It might have been through DeviantArt, or maybe he had a website at the time, but he wasn't shipping outside of, I think he's in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm kicking myself that I didn't buy a ticket and go to Brazil and try to buy some stuff from him at the time. But
right. Well,
been a long time fan. And I watched for the art drop and quickly realized I could not afford any of the pages.
I know. I went over to it immediately as well, and just more out of curiosity because I knew I could afford it. But I could tell you, when we did the first Comic Art Live in May of last year, Chiaroscuro had a Grandpa cover that they let everybody know that they were going to release it, through Comic Art Live as a sale. And that one, and remember how on Comic Art Live, if you're a premium member, you get in 2 hours early. That one thing, I swear, it probably made 50 people pay for the 3-month premium membership just so they could get early access to try to get that one cover. And everybody just dove into that gallery, and it was sold in the first minute of the show. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
I almost had. They recently sold a Bowie drawing that Grandpa had done for I think a South America magazine, but I think I was the second or third person to ask about it, so I missed that one. But they've been posting some great stuff and some things that are more affordable than others. But yeah, he's worth it. I mean, he's an amazing artist.
No, totally. But yes, hopefully they'll continue to exhibit during our shows, because it always, like I say, it's cool. And for me, I think it's really neat that the dealers that have worked with us through the Comic Art Live show have done art drops during it. So I'm putting it out there. That's what helps make the show popular, is to have the dealers involved. And when we envisioned doing that show, it was really all about initially it was about the dealers. A lot of them had approached me once COVID started and San Diego was canceled. And they're like, what can you do for us today, Bill? Kind of thing. And so it was their nudging. And actually it was a dealer that named Comic Art Live. Mark Hage, Splash Page Comic Art. He and I were talking, and early on, it was probably in March, and we were trying to think of what we could do. And I had some terrible names for what it could have been. It was Comic Art Live. It sounds, just rolls off the tongue. It sounds right. And I'm like, bingo. So
that's awesome.
Mark has not asked to trademark the name yet, but if he ever did, I would have to allow him to do that, because he did come up with it. So.
And I don't know Mark super well, but I've bought stuff from him over the years. Bought some Daredevil stuff years and years ago. Always one of the nicest dealers that I've ever dealt with. Always quick to respond. Awesome person. No,
yeah. Mark is who I've probably known the longest in the hobby as far as dealers go. Yeah, when he was the first dealer website we ever did. He put a lot of faith in the work that we were doing early on. He invited me to San Diego to work at his booth in 2003, and that's the same year that CAF came out. So he kind of saw something early on that I didn't see. And even when we were at San Diego, that's when he asked me to do his website. And I was like, that sounds stupid, but okay, if you really want me to do it. And so, yeah, I owe a lot to Mark. Mark definitely kind of pushed me in the right directions early on, even though I wasn't quite expecting it. Oh, Nick, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Comic Art Live does rock. we've got a few. I wish I could say there's going to be a lot more upgrades to this the May show, but I can, the live streams have really been taking a lot out of me and the time that we've been able to focus on the show. But we definitely, I've got a short list of enhancements to add to Comic Art Live this go round that I think will work out to make it a little bit more easier to get into the booths that you want to get into quicker. I want to set it up so you can kind of, because remember how we do a preview of the exhibitors during the show? I want to make it so people can easily can kind of like bookmark whose booths they want, and so it'll be an easier dive into looking at just the people that you're interested in. Even though there'll be more, people there, you can go back and search later. But definitely for the people who've paid to get in early access, they should be able to just see like the 5 or 6 dealers that they know they want to hit. Remember, because Adam Hughes and Allison exhibited in the November show, and they sold. I don't know. I think they sold probably 80% of what they brought, but a lot of people keyed in just to go there. But it's not easy. It's not very easy just to find somebody. So if you can scout it out ahead of time, book and set up your kind of favorite list of whose booths you want to go to, and then when the show opens, you just see that would be a huge enhancement that is on Maureen's to-do list before this show happens. So that was my that's my one big hope for the show, is to make it easier for people to find art. I mean, at the end of the day, we only have a day and a half. So again, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you on Thursday. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So I think we only have one more artwork to talk about. Let's get this one up on the screen. Alexis.
Yeah, and I saw in the comment, it was very hard to pick the pieces for this, and huge Jim Cheung fan, huge McNiven Wolverine fan, but wanted to give some love to some of the indie artists that I've really been into the past several years. Alexis here is one of my favorite artists from the past, since 2014, so 7 years. Met him at Heroes Con in 2014. He and the writer at the time for the book, Fabian Rangel Jr., were there with like a 4-page version of Space Riders that they were just signing and giving some out, selling some, but also trying to pitch to publishers at the con. And just fell in love with Alexis's art and style. And I've seen someone else call it Jack Kirby on acid, which I thought was pretty fitting. Yeah. But it's like all my favorite things about comics. It's like energetic, it's fun, it's not hyper realistic, it's comic-y. And then the book itself, the writing was fun, the story was fun. So I ended up picking up this piece that was the cover for issue 1 that was used on the trade and for some ads and stuff. And it's the Santa Muerte ship with some Kirby flair in there.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. It's like a black light poster in the colored room. I love it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to print a version that's like black light ink.
Yes. No, that's really awesome. I love it.
And he's got another great book out now that I need to check out. That he's doing. I think Floating World Comics in Oregon is publishing it. It's really good.
Very cool. Very cool. No, that's I love the artworks that you picked tonight, George, because it's definitely 3/4 we've not seen on any of the chats I've done in the last year. So that was fantastic. When I went through your list, I was like, all right, this is cool. We're going to be talking about new people for the most part. So I mean, I love talking about Buscema's and Kirby's too, but getting to see new art that that's from younger talent is definitely something we need to do a little bit more of on the show and try to with the guests that we bring on. So I'm glad you picked the pieces that you did.
Awesome.
And I apologize. Just to follow up. Yes, guys, I understand Comic Art Live. It's confusing now, but Comic Art Live was the show, the convention before it was the channel. So it's kind of, I agree, it's problematic, but I'm not sure how I'm going to necessarily change that. I'll think about it. Comic Art Fans or CAF Presents, I don't know. I've never been good with branding, everybody. Like Mikhail said, a few episodes ago, Bill needs a new logo for CAF. I've never been good at marketing, so what am I going to do? I try, but I know to hit you up, George, if I need any, if I ever get to the point where I'm ready to do something a little different.
Awesome.
I appreciate you offering that. Because it's design's never been my strong point. I can get by, but I'm not I'm not a designer by any means. CAF too. I don't know, Chris. I don't know about that one, but we'll work on it. It's going to be Comicart Live at least again, and then I'll think about it. So, but again, George, fantastic interview.
Appreciate it, man.
If there is ever anything I can do for you, if you ever need anything, or if you ever have any ideas, that you want me to do something on CAF, see a need, let me know. I'm always happy to hear from people.
Well, I'll say two quick things. One, we need to figure out a category for character designs or concept art. And then the other thing I was going to ask, would love to see, hear from some other female collectors out there, and I know of a couple couples that collect together that could be fun to hear from. Yeah,
no, that's very true. We had a couple ladies on the show. It's almost probably been 3 weeks ago now. Yeah. So we're trying. Definitely, I
know there's fewer out there, but
right. That's what's funny. When I look at the stats on YouTube, literally when you look at the gender mix, it's like 99% to 1%.
Wow.
I know it doesn't make any sense to me too, because I don't know. But it's surprising because like I told you, I've worked with Mark Hay at San Diego so many times, and I know there are a lot of female collectors out there. I don't know if they just don't use CAF, and maybe that's why I just don't see the names that often, but no, I'd love to. And I do know a few husband-wife teams of art collectors out there as well. So that would actually be really fun. And I know West had mentioned someone that I should approach about that.
Awesome. Yeah, I see a few at HeroesCon every year, and I love seeing the couples. I've tried to get my wife to go with me. She went once with our nephew, and I think she had fun because our nephew was having fun. But other than that, she will not go to the convention with me. Although she enjoys the art, I will say that.
Right. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of bad names in the chat right now. I'm just like, too CAF, too serious. No, that's not going to work.
I'm now picturing someone showing up. It's like a muscle convention trying to go to CAFCon, but it's now CAFCon.
I know, caffeinated. And I can tell you, I had some really dumb names that's why when Mark Hay came up with Comicart Live, I was like, that's it. Because I had like, oh my God, I don't even want to. I actually bought a couple domain names and just let them slide because it was around this time when we were trying to figure out what names we wanted. And I had some really, really clunky names. So, anyway. So again, anything I can ever help you with, George, let me know. I
appreciate it.
I will certainly reach out to you if we ever start thinking about doing a logo redesign or something along those lines, because I don't want to do it myself again. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I'll mention it to Ruben's point to a couple of the couples that I know that collect together to see. I know not everybody's comfortable doing interviews, but to see if any of them are interested.
Hey, if you would, I'd be thrilled, and if they say then just let's get me their email addresses and I'll reach out to them, because at the end of the day, even though I'm like running CAF, I can tell you and I see the names, it's like it's really hard to know whom I could reach out to unless I've seen them on CAF for 10 years. It's just difficult. So but I'd love to. I think that would be fun. Because I can honestly say I haven't really met any collecting couples out there that, at least that I know, are. So
well, it's genius because they usually get twice the commissions because they're teaming up at these conventions.
Dang, that's a good wow. I'm gonna have to talk to Maureen about that. She's gotta come to shows with me and help me get art. She did help me get my Adam Hughes sketch, but but that was she was just like, you strike out all the time. I'm gonna go talk to him. She worked it out. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, but other than that, she only looks at she's like a big Doctor Who fan. So
Oh, nice.
she's more into that, and my kids are more into My Little Pony and that sort of stuff, which is all cool.
Just, yeah. Oh yeah.
They're not on my team though when it comes to my yard.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Bill. This was awesome. It's great to finally meet you in person after seeing your name on a website for the past 12 years. And it's been awesome seeing you do these. So thanks for doing this, and thanks for having me on.
No, totally my pleasure. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. We had between 75 and 80 people, between YouTube and Facebook this evening. So lots of people tuned into it. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Nick, for the super chat, and Tom for the super chat. You guys are great. I appreciate it. It all goes back to this, making this show work. I can promise you. I do have somebody lined up to come on full time in June to help me with production related stuff. So I assure you, all that is going towards making that possible. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a good evening, and I guess I'll see you tomorrow night on Dueling Dealers.
Thanks, y'all.